The call came during my daughter's piano recital. Nina was playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, her fingers dancing across the keys like they had during countless practice sessions at home. My phone vibrated once, twice, 3 times before I stepped into the hallway. "Mom?" Nina's voice trembled. "Something's wrong. I can't breathe right." My heart stopped. "Where are you?" "Home. Dad was supposed to be here, but..." She broke into a fit of coughing. I was already running to my car. "Stay on the phone with me, sweetheart." "What happened?" "I tried calling Dad first. He said he couldn't miss this meeting. Something about a merger." Her breathing grew more labored. "Mom, I'm scared." I pressed the accelerator harder, weaving through traffic. "I'm 10 minutes away. Is your inhaler nearby?" Silence. "Nina?" Nothing but ragged breathing. "Nina. Answer me." The line went dead. My hands shook as I dialed Mitchell. 1 ring. 2 rings. 3. "Chelsea, I'm in the middle of something important. Nina's having an attack. She's alone at home. I'm sure she's fine. She's being dramatic again. She's not answering anymore." My voice cracked. "I'm still 15 minutes out. Look, this merger could make my career. Brenda and I have been working on this for months. Nina knows how to handle her asthma." The casual mention of Brenda made my stomach turn. Always Brenda these days. "Your daughter could be dying, and you're worried about a meeting? Don't be hysterical. I'll check on her when I'm done." The line went dead. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and pressed the accelerator to the floor. When I finally burst through our front door, I found Nina unconscious on the kitchen floor. Her inhaler lay just out of reach, knocked over in what must have been a desperate scramble. The next hours passed in a blur of ambulance sirens, emergency room fluorescent lights, and the steady beep of hospital monitors. Mitchell never showed up. Just sent a text, "Tied up at work. Keep me posted." As I watched Nina's chest rise and fall under the oxygen mask, something inside me hardened. The woman who would have forgiven Mitchell's absence, who would have made excuses for his dedication to work, died on that kitchen floor alongside my trust in him. I brushed Nina's hair from her forehead and made a silent promise. He would pay for this. Not just for today, but for every moment he'd chosen his ambition and Brenda over his family. The game was about to change. Mitchell just didn't know it yet. The hospital room's silence was broken only by Nina's steady breathing and the rhythmic beep of monitors. 3 days had passed, and Mitchell still hadn't shown his face. Just texts. Always texts. Going into another meeting. Tied up with clients. Brenda needs me to review these contracts. I deleted each one without responding. The photo on Nina's bedside table caught my eye, a last summer's beach vacation. Mitchell's arm around my waist, Nina building a sandcastle at our feet. His smile seemed different now, hollow somehow. Like a mask I'd never noticed him wearing. The door creaked open. Evelyn walked in, carrying 2 cups of actual coffee, not the vending machine sludge I'd been surviving on. "You look like hell," she said, handing me a cup. "Thanks. I feel worse." She pulled up a chair, studying my face. "Mitchell called me." My hand tightened around the coffee cup. "Did he? Wanted to know if you were being reasonable about all this." She made air quotes with her fingers. "Said something about you overreacting to Nina's?" "What did he call it?" "Teenage dramatics." The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "Did he mention he was with Brenda when it happened?" "The famous Brenda." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "You know, I saw them last week. At Costello's." My stomach lurched. Costello's? Where Mitchell and I had our first date. Where he proposed. Business dinner? The words felt like ash on my tongue. Unless business involves playing footsie under the table and leaving together in the same car. The coffee cup crumpled in my grip, hot liquid spilling over my fingers. I barely felt it. Nina stirred in her sleep, mumbling something that sounded like "Dad." The monitor's beeping increased slightly. "I should have seen it," I whispered. All those late meetings. The new cologne. The way he changed his phone password. Chelsea. Evelyn leaned forward. "What are you going to do?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another text from Mitchell: "Good news, landed the merger. Celebrating with the team tonight. Don't wait up." The team. Right. I opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Mitchell always used the same password for everything: Nina's birthday. Too sentimental to change it, too arrogant to think I'd ever check. "What are you doing?" Evelyn asked. I logged into his email. Finding out exactly how long my husband has been lying to me. The first email from Brenda was dated 8 months ago. Subject line: "Last night." My hands didn't shake as I clicked it open. They should have, but something had crystallized inside me. Something cold and sharp and certain. "I'm going to destroy him," I said, and for the first time in days, I smiled. "But first, I'm going to make him destroy himself." The day Nina came home from the hospital, I found the USB drive hidden in her jewelry box. My fingers trembled as I plugged it into my laptop, wondering what could have driven my daughter to start collecting evidence against her own father. The files were meticulously organized by date. Screenshots of text messages. Photos from security cameras. Bank statements. My 16-year-old had turned into a private investigator, and the thought made me sick. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Nina stood in my doorway, still pale from her hospital stay. But when I confronted Dad about Brenda, he said I was imagining things. That I was trying to cause trouble. The latest photo showed Mitchell and Brenda entering a hotel. Timestamp: the night of Nina's attack. He told me I needed therapy. Nina's voice cracked. Said I was making up stories because I was jealous of his success. A document caught my eye: financial records showing irregular transfers from the company accounts to an offshore bank. Amounts that matched the deposits in Mitchell's private account, the one he thought I didn't know about. That's when I couldn't breathe, Nina whispered. He just walked away while I was trying to show him the proof. Said he had a meeting. The front door opened downstairs. Mitchell's footsteps on the hardwood, followed by his voice: "Anyone home?" "I brought dinner from that Italian place you girls love." Nina's eyes met mine, wide with panic. I closed the laptop and squeezed her hand. "Go to your room," I said. "Lock the door." "Mom." "It's okay, sweetheart. I've got this." Mitchell appeared in the hallway, holding takeout bags, wearing the same suit from yesterday. A smudge of lipstick on his collar, not my shade. "There are my girls." "Nina, honey, you're looking better." "Chelsea, I thought we could have a family dinner, talk things through. Like we talked through Nina's evidence before she ended up in the hospital?" The smile froze on his face. "What?" I held up the USB drive. "She showed you everything, Mitchell. Right before you left her alone, gasping for air." "That's not, you don't understand." "The hotel receipts? The bank transfers? The messages to Brenda about how you'll leave me once the merger goes through?" His face hardened. "You've been spying on me?" "No, our daughter has. Because unlike you, she actually cares about this family." Mitchell set down the bags, his movements deliberate. "I can explain everything. But if you pursue this, Chelsea, you'll regret it. I promise you that." I smiled, thinking of the copies I'd already sent to his board of directors. "No, Mitchell. You're the one who's going to regret this. I promise you that." Evelyn's kitchen felt like a sanctuary after the confrontation with Mitchell. She poured wine while I spread Nina's evidence across her counter, a paper trail of betrayal laid bare under fluorescent lights. "He's emptied the joint account," I said, refreshing my banking app again. Every penny, gone. Bastard. Evelyn studied a photo of Mitchell and Brenda. But you said you've already sent everything to the board? This morning. Anonymous email. I took a long sip of wine. Though he'll know it was me. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, we should talk. Brenda. Delete it, Evelyn said. Another buzz, Mitchell's not who you think he is. Neither am I. I started to reply, but Evelyn grabbed my phone. That's exactly what she wants. To pull you into their game. Maybe she knows something we don't. Or maybe she's trying to save herself. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Think about it. The board has evidence of embezzlement. Who signed off on those transfers? The realization hit like ice water. Brenda's the financial controller. Exactly. She's as guilty as he is. My phone rang, Mitchell's father, Richard. Chairman of the board. I answered on speaker. Chelsea. His voice was granite. Do you know what you've done? Exposed the truth. You've exposed nothing. Those transfers were authorized. Part of a confidential restructuring. My hands started shaking. What? Mitchell tried to protect you from this, but since you're determined to destroy my son's career, the merger's going through. The company's being sold. Most employees will be terminated. Including you. I worked part-time in their HR department. It was how Mitchell and I met. The severance packages are generous, Richard continued. But not for employees terminated for cause. Like sharing confidential company information. The wine turned sour in my stomach. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Mitchell was trying to secure your future. Now you've ruined everything. The line went dead. Evelyn touched my arm. Chelsea? I stared at the evidence spread before me. What if I'd misread everything? What if? My phone buzzed again. A text from Nina, Mom, come home. Dad's here with Brenda. They're taking my laptop. The doubt evaporated. Mitchell might have fooled his father, might have covered his financial tracks, but he couldn't erase what he'd done to our daughter. I need your car, I told Evelyn. And I need you to call my father. What are you going to do? I gathered the evidence, leaving one photo behind, Mitchell and Brenda at Costello's. I'm going to remind my husband that some betrayals can't be explained away with spreadsheets. My father's law office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same leather chairs, same mahogany desk, same look of concern when I laid out Nina's USB drive and my own evidence. Mitchell's father is trying to bury this, I said. Claims it's all legitimate business. Gerald picked up a photo of Mitchell leaving the hotel with Brenda. And this? Is this legitimate business too? That's not even the worst part. I pulled up the security footage Nina had somehow obtained. Watch. The video showed Mitchell and Brenda in his office, laughing over something on his computer screen. The timestamp matched Nina's asthma attack. He was showing her Nina's text messages, I said. They were laughing about her not being able to breathe. Gerald's face hardened. In 30 years of practicing corporate law, I'd never seen him look so angry. I've been reviewing the company's merger documents, he said. There are irregularities. What kind of irregularities? The kind that could send people to prison. He opened his laptop. Mitchell and Brenda haven't just been embezzling. They've been falsifying shareholder reports. My phone buzzed. Mitchell, coming home early. We need to talk about Nina's future. He's trying to take her, I whispered. Isn't he? He's trying to control you, Gerald said. Using Nina as leverage. Another text, from Brenda this time, you should see what Mitchell really thinks about you. Check your daughter's email, especially the drafts folder. My hands shook as I logged into Nina's account. There, in the drafts, was an email she'd never sent. Dad, I found the letters you wrote to Brenda about Mom. How could you say those things? How could you plan to? The draft ended there. Chelsea. Gerald's voice was gentle. Whatever you're thinking of doing, remember, revenge isn't worth losing yourself over. This isn't about revenge anymore. I stood up, gathering the evidence. This is about protecting my daughter. What are you going to do? I thought about Mitchell and Brenda laughing at Nina's distress. About the missing money, the lies, the manipulation. About my daughter, alone and struggling to breathe while her father played power games. I'm going to give Mitchell exactly what he wants, I said. A chance to explain everything. Chelsea. But first, I need you to do something for me. I handed him the USB drive. Make copies. Send them everywhere. The board, the shareholders, the SEC. Everyone. That's not just burning bridges, he warned. That's nuclear. I smiled, thinking of Mitchell's smug face when he threatened me. Sometimes, Dad, you have to burn everything down to see what's really there. Mitchell was waiting in our living room, Brenda perched on the arm of his chair like she belonged there. The sight of her in my home made my skin crawl. Where's Nina? I asked. Safe, Mitchell said. At my father's. The room felt too small, too warm. On the coffee table lay a stack of papers, divorce documents, custody agreements, non-disclosure forms. You've been busy, I said. We're trying to be reasonable, Brenda interjected. Give you a clean break. Reasonable? I pulled out my phone, played the security footage. Their laughter at Nina's distress filled the room. Is this what you call reasonable? Mitchell's face tightened. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You chose her over your daughter's life. It wasn't like that, Brenda said. Mitchell was protecting everyone. By embezzling millions? By leaving Nina alone when she couldn't breathe? Enough. Mitchell slammed his hand on the table. Sign the papers, Chelsea. Take the money. Walk away. My phone buzzed. A text from my father, done. Check the news. No, I said. This isn't a negotiation. Mitchell's voice dropped dangerously. You sign, or I'll make sure you never see Nina again. I checked my watch. 3, 2, 1. Mitchell's phone exploded with notifications. Then Brenda's. Their faces changed as they read, confusion, shock, horror. What did you do? Mitchell whispered. I burned everything down. I smiled. The board has everything. The SEC, the shareholders, the press. Every email, every transfer, every hotel receipt. Brenda stood up, backing away. Mitchell, we need to go. Now. You stupid bitch, he snarled, advancing toward me. You've ruined everything. No, you did that. I held my ground. The moment you laughed at our daughter fighting for air. His hand raised, but before he could strike, Nina's voice cut through the room. Dad? She stood in the doorway, my father behind her. The look on her face as she watched her father poised to hit me, that moment changed everything. Nina, sweetie, Mitchell started. Don't. She moved to stand beside me. I heard everything. I saw everything. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Mitchell, Brenda urged, we need to leave. But he just stood there, frozen, as his carefully constructed world crumbled around him. In that moment, I saw not the powerful man who'd threatened and manipulated us, but a hollow shell, stripped of his masks. The siren stopped outside our house. Heavy footsteps approached the door. Daddy, Nina whispered, what did you do to us? Mitchell had no answer. He never would. The interrogation room felt smaller with each passing hour. Through the one-way glass, I watched Mitchell crumble under the weight of his own lies. Brenda had already cut a deal, turning over everything in exchange for leniency. Mrs. Harrison? A detective appeared with fresh coffee. Your husband's asking to speak with you. Ex-husband, I corrected. And only if our daughter can watch. Minutes later, Nina and I sat across from Mitchell. His designer suit was wrinkled, his face haggard. The handcuffs clinked against the table as he reached for words that wouldn't come. How much? I asked. What? How much was our family worth? The exact dollar amount you and Brenda stole? He flinched. It wasn't about the money. 12 million, Nina said, her voice steady. I found the offshore accounts. That's what my life was worth to you. Sweetheart, please. Don't. She placed her inhaler on the table. I kept this as a reminder. Of lying on the kitchen floor, wondering if I would die while you laughed with her. Mitchell's facade cracked. I never meant. To get caught? I finished. Or to hurt us. Because you managed both spectacularly. Brenda said she'd destroy everything if I left her. The company, our reputation, you. So you destroyed us first. Nina stood up. Congratulations, Dad. You succeeded. Wait. His handcuffs rattled as he reached for her. I can fix this. I have more accounts, hidden assets. That's your solution? I laughed, hollow. More stolen money? What do you want from me? He shouted, desperation breaking through. Nina paused at the door. I wanted my father. But he died the moment he chose her over me. The detective entered as Nina left. Time's up. Mr. Harrison, your father's lawyer, is here. I stood to leave, but Mitchell's broken whisper stopped me. I loved you both. I still do. No, I said, finally seeing him clearly. You loved yourself. We were just collateral damage in your grand ambitions. Chelsea. Goodbye, Mitchell. Outside, Nina waited with Evelyn and my father. The media crews buzzed beyond the police station steps, hungry for the story of the corporate scandal that destroyed the perfect family. Ready? Gerald asked. I watched through the window as Mitchell was led away, shoulders slumped, broken. The man I'd loved, the father of my child, reduced to headlines and cautionary tales. Mom? Nina squeezed my hand. Let's go home. The revenge I'd wanted had come at a price. But watching my daughter stand tall, unbroken by his betrayal, I knew it had been worth it. Some fires purify as they burn. The letter arrived on Nina's first day back at school. I recognized Brenda's handwriting on the envelope, but it was the contents that made my coffee go cold. Mitchell wasn't the mastermind, she wrote. I chose him because he was vulnerable. Ambitious but weak. The perfect mark. Nina came downstairs as I read, her new backpack slung over one shoulder. She paused, studying my face. Mom? I folded the letter. Ready for school? Is that from Dad? No. Brenda. She sat beside me, shoulders tense. What does she want? To confess. Apparently, your father was just another victim in her game. I pushed the letter away. She claims she manipulated him, used his ambition against him. Does it matter? Nina asked, her voice steady. He still chose her over us. The morning sun caught the silver chain around her neck, my mother's locket, now hers. Inside was the photo of the three of us at the beach, before everything shattered. Your father's lawyer called yesterday, I said. He's agreed to the divorce terms. No contest. Good. Nina stood, adjusting her backpack. I don't want his money anyway. Neither do I. I watched her check her inhaler, tucking it safely away. But I want you to know something. Revenge. It doesn't fix what's broken. I know. She smiled, a real smile, not the fragile one she'd worn in the hospital. But standing up for ourselves? That fixed us. The doorbell rang. Evelyn waited outside with her daughter, Nina's best friend since kindergarten. Their laughter echoed across the lawn as they headed to the car. I picked up Brenda's letter, reading the final lines. "I'm sorry for destroying your family. But Mitchell would have found another way to fail you both. Men like him always do." Maybe she was right. Maybe Mitchell had been weak, easily led astray. But as I watched Nina climb into Evelyn's car, chatting animatedly with her friend, I realized something. Our story wasn't about Mitchell's weakness or Brenda's manipulation. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about finding strength in the aftermath of betrayal. About choosing to rebuild rather than remain broken. I struck a match, held Brenda's letter to the flame. Let the past burn away. Through the window, I could still hear Nina laughing. The sound carried clearly now, unobstructed by the walls we'd torn down to save ourselves. Sometimes the truest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in refusing to let them destroy you.